Hi guys, I'm Jamie with Art of the Dog. This is Fink. She's going to help us out today. We're going to troubleshoot some bed issues. So first I want to talk about many uses of the bed. So I like to use the bed as a maintenance for obedience, just keeping her in one spot and keeping her comfortable. So this is similar to a downstay, but it gives a little bit more wiggle room, a little bit more freedom. So in a downstay, they're not allowed to move, and we've probably talked about that one already. But on the bed, she's allowed to get up, change positions, lay back down, as long as she doesn't step off the bed. So first I want to talk about getting her on the bed. I usually use more movement towards it to get her to draw to the bed. So I'll say the word bed and I'll guide her up there. So I'm going to use her slip lead. This slip lead is going to be very helpful in guiding her to the bed, off if she gets off the bed for many different reasons, maybe into the down. So I'm going to have the slip lead on if my dog's struggling with any part of this. So all I'm going to do is, using the slip lead, I'm going to tell her bed and guide her up there. Now she should go into the down. If she didn't, I would say no and I would pull towards the bed. So that's getting her up there. There are times where the dog doesn't go up there. Maybe the dog is confused. Maybe the dog is just being stubborn and doesn't want to go on the bed. There are certain things that we do as when we teach the dog the automatic sit. If we stop, our dog sits. So sometimes when we're, as a human, walking our dog up to our bed, we stop right here and our dog thinks we're supposed to be sitting rather than stepping on the bed. So a couple of things you can do is you can walk past it. So if I walked up here, I said bed, no. I would pull her onto the bed by walking further, so walking through it. I could use treats and guide her up here. I could give her treats at this point so that she is rewarded for being on it. If she starts to get off of the bed, one, I can say the word no, and if the dog's really responding to the word no and she goes right back in the down, great, that's all I need. It's just a quick reminder, maybe she got distracted. But most of the time we're gonna need the e-collar, and if she were to get up, I would say no, tick, 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 until she goes into the down. There, I may use the leash to guide her down if she looks confused. If she starts walking away, or I catch her and she's a few feet away, I'm gonna say no, and with the leash, I'm gonna guide her up, tick, 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 all the way to the bed. So I'm going to draw Fink off of the bed, free, and then here, just kind of show, I would say no, tick, 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 all the way until she's in her down command. Good. Now, I'm going to keep the leash available, so that way, as I'm walking around the house, if I see her get up, I could easily grab that leash and guide her back up there. Always having this remote in my hand is going to be key. That way, if I need to go out of sight, if I want to practice being away from her view, I have a way to correct the moment her feet step off the bed. Now think of this like the hot lava game when you were younger. If her feet touch the ground, tick, 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 right away. Again, if she gets up, then she's all in the clear. But if she keeps walking, then the correction can go higher and I'm getting her back up there. Now, a big question is, when is my dog allowed off the bed? The only time my dog is allowed off the bed is if I say the word free. So if I have guests over, they come to the front door. If I have my other dogs walking through the room. If I walked over and sat down on the floor to do yoga. If I do anything around the dog and it distracts them, that is not giving leave to get up. So in that case, the higher the distraction, the more control I'm going to have over my dog. So I might have the leash in hand and e-collar in hand if my doorbell rings. That way I can easily get her back up here. I'm not across the room or not paying attention. If my other dogs are running around playing, I might have these in hand in the beginning while my dog's getting used to this. You can also control the amount of distractions that your dog has. So if my dog gets distracted by my other dogs running around, I might put the other dogs out back or put them up in another room and practice the bed command until they get real comfortable with this before I start increasing the distractions. All right, and another question we get is, if I'm out of the room, maybe I'm in the kitchen and my dog gets up off of its bed, how do I correct for that? So we have a couple of rules here. First, I want my dog to have this command mastered. I want her to not be getting up when I'm in sight. Second, I want her to be responding to the correction. So if I say no and I click, I want her to know she's getting back up and going on the bed. All of this before I start going out of sight. Then when I feel that she's ready, I will step out of sight, peeking around the corner, and then be ready to correct, and I come back. Good. So she slowly gets used to me getting out of sight. Now, you are going to get to a point where your dog's got this down. I'm going and do it cooking dinner, and my dog somehow gets up. I might use some spatial pressure, which is just walking towards her with the clicking. So I would say no, tick, 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 guiding her over there with like pressure walking towards her. Or I would grab her, make sure it's her flat collar, not her e-collar, because we don't want to mess with the stimulation, but I would grab her collar and correct her over to the bed. But always building up to where she understands the command itself and the correction before trying to go out of sight and increase that distraction. And then also sometimes I'll set my dog up to fail, and that sounds tough, but it's once they understand what I'm asking, I want to push them to challenge them so that they are running into distractions like my other dogs come running through. I might send one of my kids or neighbors around the door to start knocking on the door. That way I know my dog may just get distracted here, and I can correct her through it. So she knows how to respond, and she gets put in a situation where she might get distracted and get up, and I work her through it. All right, guys, this is what we're gonna work through when our dog is a little avoidant of getting on the bed. Now, sometimes being in a different environment, sometimes if the bed moves to a different spot, our dogs might get a little avoidant, maybe nervous, maybe confused. So these are a couple of tricks that I'll use. I will take some treats, and without really giving much physical assistance, I will guide my dog onto the bed by walking her over it. There we go. And just guiding her up here. Now, every once in a while, come here, Fink, I get a dog that is still a little too afraid to walk on without the treats, so I'll take one hand with the leash and one hand with the treat and guide them up. Now, in this part, I might have to use a little bit more force with the leash to get her up here, just kind of pulling her up on the bed, and then I would do treat, 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 just so that this becomes a very comfortable, very fun spot. So our goal with the bed is that our dogs really enjoy hanging out on it. So I don't ever want this to be like, go to your bed. I don't want it to be that my dog is in trouble for this. I want this to be like, yay, we get to go lay on our bed and hang out while I watch a movie or while I work at my computer. So I would guide her on with treats and then give her more and more treats. This also, okay, free. I will do this I'll rep this over and over. So I might say, bed, get her up there, down, give her another treat. Once her elbows hit the floor, treat, treat. So I'm gonna do this over and over. So get her off, get her back on, get her off, get her back on, just so that it starts to become more of a fun command to do. Now, there are times where I just have to use the leash. Come on. If my dog's not interested in the treats for this, I might just use the leash. Come here. Obviously, Fink is interested in it. And then I would just pull and get her up here. And again, I might have to use more force if my dog's a little more nervous, but I'm just gonna physically put my dog on the bed, and then I might have to just pet or treat it or find some way to make my dog comfortable up here. And I usually try to let them hang out. Once they get up here, we do a few reps, we'll hang out, and we'll just make this a fun, comfortable spot. All right, and the last thing we talk about is consistency. Now, with every command, consistency is gonna be key. Dogs will always seek opportunity. So if I ask Fink to go to the bed 50 times, and one of those times she's able to get up and sneak away, she's always gonna be looking for that one time. She's always going to be trying to step off, get corrected, and waiting for that chance to do it. So I want to make sure she's never able to get away with not doing the command if I asked her, or breaking the command after she's been told to get up here and I did not give her leave to get up. Another important part of the correction for this is I want to correct the moment her foot is touching the floor. I don't want to wait until she's walked across the room and met me on the other side. I want her to clearly know that it's this action of stepping off the bed that gets her corrected.